wispy energy and Oni soul envelops Sakuya and the other guild members. Sakuya asks what is happening. Shuzenji realizes this is bad. The positions of all alliance members, even the stealth units, have been detected. With such perfect detection, there is no escape. Sakuya uses his own skill Search Eye to see their enemies' levels. He and Shuzenji are stunned. The level difference is no joke. Shuzenji calmly asks the late-night visitors what brings them here. Shurya reports that according to the Oni soul, the one they are looking for is not there. Mukai demands to know where Sora is, but Shuzenji feigns ignorance. Hiro loses his temper, but Shuzenji simply remarks that he lacks proper education. Hiro roars that if he is so eager to die, he will oblige. But from within the guild house, Sora's mother activates a trap. A barrier opens beneath them. A status window reveals that all the intruders have been affected by a curse of weakness. A green aura now surrounds each of them. Hiro grumbles at how petty this is, but he is confident. He claims that even while cursed by a level 68 cleric, he alone can crush the alliance. He throws a punch, but Shuzenji catches it with ease. Shuzenji remarks that Hiro seems to lack understanding about the alliance. A system window shows that Hiro's level has dropped from 105 to 71. Hiro is shocked at losing over 30 levels. Shuzenji, whose Arhat status has now been revealed at level 75, tells him that lowering levels is not a big deal. He strikes Hiro with a palm thrust, sending him flying. Their levels have all been drastically reduced. Sakuya explains that anyone who enters the curse area has their level reduced by 50% of the caster's level, which is a total of 34 levels. He asks if they can still fight. Mukai laughs, finding the situation interesting. He calls out to Daoju, who steps forward and unleashes her own spell. Mukai cackles, saying that as long as they are in the palm of his hand, Sora will definitely return. The world around them distorts, and Shuzenji opens his eyes to find they have been transported to an ethereal arena. A voice announces that they are welcome to Athena's arena. Mukai states it has been a while since he met an equal opponent and that his heart is racing. He muses that waiting for Sora to fall into the trap will not be boring. As for the others, the nuisances, he summons a blade of light and declares he might as well eliminate them too. Meanwhile, in a ruined cityscape, Mai Tanasaki watches as a figure descends from the sky. It is Sora who lands beside her. She's taken aback as he holds up a photo confirming her identity. Sora explains that he is from the Union and has come seeking military protection. She quickly orders her soldiers to lower their weapons and asks if he is Sora Mukujima, stating that she has something to ask him. Back at the arena, Daoju slams her staff into the ground. Flames erupt atop massive pillars illuminating the Colosseum. She calls upon the gods to bear witness and guide this duel. An ethereal form of the goddess Athena materializes. Sakuya and the others are stunned. Athena's voice echoes and declares that each side will present 5 warriors. The first to achieve 3 victories will receive the blessing of Olympus, while the losing side will be burned to death by the light of the gods. Sakuya is confused, wondering what this means since there are only 8 of them present. Daoju replies that it is 8 for now and that the main players are still on their way, referring to Mukai and Sora. Hiro steps forward, arrogantly asking who wants to die first. A notification appears, challenging Sakuya's guild to battle. Shuzenji steps up and takes the blame for the situation due to his judgment. Sakuya reassures him and says that just having him here is enough. With Sora's mother's curse reducing their enemy's level, they have a chance in a one-on-one fight. Gyro agrees, since Sora's mother is not suited for combat, the remaining 3 of them just need to secure 3 wins. Both Shuzenji and Sakuya are determined. Shuzenji warns them that Ares Azura is the most ferocious of all. He recalls that after becoming an Azura, Hiro single-handedly defeated a guild that had 3 Azura of its own. But Shuzenji announces that he has a strategy. He volunteers to take the first match. As he steps into the arena, he formally asks for a bout. The goddess instructs both parties to take their positions and begin. Hiro scoffs and charges forward. Shuzenji deftly dodges Hiro's initial attacks, moving with fluid grace. Hiro grows frustrated and demands to know if all Shuzenji can do is run. Finally, Shuzenji catches Hiro's hand. Sakuya cheers, but this is exactly what Hiro wanted. Shuzenji realizes his mistake and uses a powerful palm strike to create distance. Shurya observes that Shuzenji seems cautious. Daoju notes that Hiro's attacks are not that lenient. Shuzenji looks down at his arm, which is now bleeding. Sakuya calls out to him, worried. Hiro grins, revealing sharp bone-like claws erupting from his knuckles. He asks how Shuzenji likes the fang of Cadmos. Shuzenji identifies it as Ars's pet snake, surprised that it can be used in close-range combat. Hiro declares that they are just getting started and yells that Cadmos is not full yet. Hiro lunges forward, but Shuzenji sidesteps his initial attack. A sharp pain shoots through Shuzenji's arm. Cadmos, the draconic familiar, has struck. Shuzenji is shocked at its speed as it drags him across the ground. He quickly reactivates his golden bell curtain, deflecting Cadmos and creating some distance. Shuzenji realizes that Cadmos has not gotten faster. Instead, the dragon's poison has slowed him down. Hiro compliments him and says he is tough for a monk. A status window reveals the fang of the poisonous dragon skill, which enhances Hiro's power and regenerates his health by absorbing the blood of his victims. Hiro taunts that this is the extent of Shuzenji's power. Sakuya uses his appraise skill, realizing that the gap between them will only grow as the fight drags on. Hiro charges in and the two trade blows. He mockingly asks how the dragon's poison feels coursing through Shuzenji's body. As Shuzenji begins a chant, Hiro cuts him off, saying that he has no time for prayers. Shurya and Daoju are confused. They can sense an immense divine power emanating from Shuzenji, but he is not an Azura. They wonder where he is drawing such power from. Sakuya, however, realizes what is happening. He knows it is a risky move, but he understands it is Shuzenji's only chance at a breakthrough. He thinks that they might just win this. The divine energy erupts from Shuzenji. A massive golden deity, the Vajra Bodhisattva's 100-syllable mantra, manifests behind him. Hiro dodges the initial strike and mocks the puny attack. He leaps into the air and the deity follows. He laughs, calling Shuzenji an idiot for trying to go hand-to-hand. He boasts that he likes Shuzenji's guts and remembers killing another fool who tried a similar plan. That man thought he could block Cadmos' fang by condensing his divine power, but what he did not know was that divine power is a richer source than fresh blood. Hiro declares he will devour every part of Shuzenji, just as he did with that idiot, telling him to drown in despair and die. Suddenly, a fist smashes into his face, sending him reeling. He is confused by what just happened. Shuzenji relentlessly continues his assault. Hiro is shocked. It is not just Shuzenji's speed, but also his power and reflexes. Everything has been powered up. Hiro thinks that Shuzenji is now the perfect fodder for Cadmos and yells for him to stand still and be consumed. Cadmos bites down on the divine armor, and Hiro celebrates, claiming that his divine power is now his. He believes he has won, but in that moment, an energy blast pierces through his chest. Divine power erupts from his body. He cries out that he cannot control his power. Shuzenji informs him that it is too early to rejoice. He explains that Arakan's power is heavily taxing on the body, and he lands another punch on Hiro's face. Hiro screams that it is impossible for Cadmos to be unable to absorb his power. Shuzenji reveals that he never said it was divine power and explains that Hiro was just too naive. With a final blow, he sends Hiro's body cartwheeling across the arena. Sora's mother reflects on Shuzenji's past decision to become Arakan. She explains that it prevents him from ever becoming an Azura and limits him to physical strength, but that karmic power is incredibly strong, though hard to control without building up virtue. Only Zen power can keep karmic energy in check. Shuzenji states that since Ares Azura has absorbed more karmic power than he can control, moving a muscle will be difficult. He says that Hiro's frequent bad deeds have left him with zero Zen power, making it impossible for him to take control of Shuzenji's karmic power. Sakuya celebrates, shouting that he told them they could win. Daoju and Shurya are shocked, but Shurya warns Shuzenji not to get cocky. He declares that they should not underestimate the Ezras. Hiro gets to his feet as Cadmos lets out a final roar. Hiro grits his teeth, knowing he does not have enough divine power left to maintain the dragon's form. He declares he is going all in. In a brutal display of desperation, he rips apart Cadmos with his bare hands, creating a shockwave across the arena. The dragon's blood splashes near Shuzenji, burning into the ground. Shuzenji is shocked by the deadly potency of the poison. A red miasma rises from the puddle as he distances himself. A deep war drum sound begins to echo through the arena. Sakuya and Jiro are stunned. From the bloody mist, Hiro offers the blood of the poisoned dragon to General Ares, asking him to grant him his spear. A glowing red weapon materializes in his hands. He vows to fight until his body turns to dust. Daoju explains that Azuras cannot wield a divine weapon without a sacrifice, and that even then, it is only temporary. She states it carries the power of the gods and adapts to the wielder's fighting style. Shurya smirks, saying that this is the unbridgeable gap between normal players and Ezras, and that it is over for Shuzenji. Daoju thinks to herself that Hiro offered the poisoned dragon Ares had given him, a trick that could get him in serious trouble with the gods. But knowing Ares' merciful nature, she believes he might forgive Hiro if he wins. However, if he loses, his punishment would be unimaginable. She quickly dismisses the thought. No regular player could ever beat an Azura wielding a divine weapon. Hiro charges forward. Shuzenji expects another close-range attack, but the spear suddenly vanishes from Hiro's hands, reappearing as a red orb enveloping him. Shuzenji dodges a punch, but the attack grazes him. Hiro shouts for the energy to explode, and spikes of energy erupt from the red aura, blocking Shuzenji's escape. Shuzenji deflects the attack with a mantra, wondering if the spear is as poisonous as the dragon. A notification confirms his fear. The corrosive effect of Ares' blood has reduced his robe's defense by 50%. Hiro presses his advantage. Shuzenji is shocked when a projectile bursts from Hiro's back, realizing the attacks can come from anywhere on his body. Hiro unleashes a flurry of attacks, each punch tipped with a small energy spear. Shuzenji realizes he cannot read his moves. Every hit he takes destroys more of his equipment. Even with his karmic power suppressing the impact, Hiro is still overwhelmingly strong. He knows if he had not weakened Hiro with the curse, he would be dead already. He needs to create distance. He manages to do so with a palm strike. He immediately begins a mantra as Hiro cuts his hand, sneering that Shuzenji must be at his limit. He drips his blood onto the ground and tells Shuzenji that distance will not save him. Shuzenji finishes his chant, Onren. A holy symbol appears above Hiro, forcing him to his knees. The incantation weakens the effect of the poisoned dragon's blood. Hiro sneers, thinking Shuzenji is just trying to win from a distance. But the blood he spilled earlier erupts into sharp spikes. Sakuya screams a warning. Shuzenji narrowly avoids being impaled as the spikes only graze his hat. As he catches his breath, the goddess Athena appears and declares that interferers will be punished. Divine flames engulf Sakuya. Sora's mother rushes to heal Sakuya, but the fire has already reduced his life force by 15%. Hiro laughs and tells Shuzenji he would be dead if Sakuya had not stepped in. Shuzenji knows close combat is risky, but now his opponent controls blood arrows at range. With only 3 minutes of stamina left, he has no choice but to fight. Hiro tells him to stop wasting time, but Shuzenji begins another chant. The ranks of Arakan are the Heavenly Eye, Wisdom Eye, Dharma Eye, and Buddha Eye. With his own Wisdom Eye, Shuzenji knows he can win. He then opens his Dharma Eyes, ready to end the fight. Shuzenji's Dharma Eye grants him a massive boost in speed. He knows it will not last long and that he needs to find an opening quickly. He notices that Hiro's spear does not hold much divine power and he remembers the blood arrow from before. In that moment, he understands. Hiro thrusts the blood spear forward, but Shuzenji calmly catches it. He remarks that this blood spear is surprisingly simple and shatters it with a single movement. Hiro is in complete disbelief. Shurya and Daoju are stunned. Daoju wonders how he blocked the hair-thin blood, realizing his eyes seem to see through everything. Sakuya cheers, seeing that Shuzenji has found a countermeasure against Ares' Yura. Shuzenji holds the dark energy from the shattered spear. He muses that with this much evil energy accumulated in his body, evil thoughts are sure to arise. He declares that he will purify it all. Hiro screams that it does not matter if Shuzenji saw through the attack, because the blood is touched by his divine power and can be controlled freely. Daoju explains that the divine power in the blood is not uniform, and that since it is so thin it can pierce any defense. There is no escape. Hiro yells for Shuzenji to die, but the monk, with his Dharma Eye active, easily dodges the attack. Shuzenji chants, stating that all beings are covered in ignorance and bound by afflictions. Daoju warns Hiro to watch out for Shuzenji's eyes as they can see the movement of divine power. All of his attacks will be meaningless. As Jiro tries to interfere, Athena issues a warning, but Shuzenji stops him and says they should see his victory through. Hiro screams that he does not need their help, but suddenly he sees a huge sacred form appearing behind the monk. He curses the damn monk. Shuzenji recites a sutra that summons a spirit to overcome obstacles and grant peace. He thinks that this is the first sutra all monks learn. It is not weak, however. By embodying Fudo both his attack and defense are more than doubled. But the sutra takes 30 seconds to chant and requires perfect focus, making it a huge risk in front of an enemy. Hiro furiously tries to attack to disrupt the chant, but his attacks are easily blocked. Daoju calls Hiro an idiot, knowing that he should have tried to disrupt the sutra after Shuzenji was sealed. The monk is unfazed, knowing the surprise attacks are meaningless before his Dharma Eye. With only 15 seconds left, Hiro grows more desperate. Blood begins to pour from his own eyes. He is reaching his limit. Shuzenji's own eyes start to bleed, showing the strain of maintaining his focus. After a tense countdown from the sidelines, he completes his chant. The sutra's power erupts like flaming ice, and the sacred form behind him unleashes a devastating blow on Hiro. The attack connects, and Hiro is slammed to the ground. Shuzenji stands tall, glad that he finished the fight before the Dharma Eye reached its limit. Athena's voice booms, announcing victory for the allied guild in the first battle. Shuzenji Yukio is the winner. After a moment, Daoju heals Hiro and remarks that he needs to try harder. Suddenly, two spirits manifest beside him and berate him for losing in what they describe as Athena's hypocritical coliseum. Hiro begins to apologize, but one of them shouts at him to be silent. It says it has a message from his father, which is that his father is disappointed in him. One spirit declares that Hiro will now have the honor of being executed by him, but the other spirit chimes in, saying its sword of Damocles also wants a piece of the action. They mercilessly attack Hiro from behind. From the sidelines, Sakuya watches in disbelief, shocked at how they treat their own Azura. The spirits tell Hiro to consider this his father's final mercy as they begin to fade away. Hiro, enraged, swears he will kill Shuzenji next time. But Shurya, now holding a massive scythe, steps forward and informs him that there will be no next time. He states that right now, they will all be burned alive by Hades' eternal hellfire. Sakuya volunteers to handle this fight. Sora's mother offers Sakuya an item. She warns him that he is up against a Reaper Azura whose power connects to the spirits. Sakuya takes it, knowing it might help. As he steps into the arena, his friends wish him luck. He thinks to himself that as a samurai, his best bet in a one-on-one fight is close combat. His plan involves closing the distance with a flash step, overwhelming his opponent with rapid strikes, then finding a weak point and ending it with a single hit. Athena's voice announces the start of the battle. Shurya immediately unleashes a horde of vengeful spirits. Sakuya charges through them, intending to use his flash step and analyze his opponent's moves, but when he strikes, the body he hits is just an illusion. A swarm of spirits appears from all directions. He cuts through them but finds himself hitting clone after clone. Shurya taunts him, saying his attacks are useless against someone without a physical form. He declares that Sakuya, a samurai who cannot even see his true enemy, is worthless. Sakuya tries to charge his sword with aura, but the spirits swarm him again. Daoju remarks that this is what a fight between an Azura and a regular human looks like. Hiro scoffs that Shuzenji just got lucky, but she retorts that it is rare for a samurai to become a guildmaster. She then glances at Sora's mother, nodding her calm demeanor for someone in her position, and suspects that they still have an ace up their sleeve. Back in the arena, Sakuya takes a new stance. Daoju recognizes it and warns Shurya to watch out. With incredible speed, Sakuya performs an 8-ship leap, instantly purifying all the spirits and appearing directly behind the real Shurya, ready to strike. When the 6th shelter was established, the military and players searched for monster nests together. They found a mine near the shelter that was swarming with monsters, which became their first exploration base. At first, things went smoothly as only small monsters appeared, but once they went deeper, everything changed. The types, numbers, and ranks of the monsters grew exponentially. It was a complete ecosystem. At its deepest point, a level 80 spider monster resided. At that time, humanity had no chance. It was then that Sakuya, whose last name is revealed to be Xiaoya, lured the monster away, allowing everyone else to escape. No one knows what happened in those next 3 days, but finally, the spider's pitiful scream echoed from the cave, and it began to collapse. Sakuya dashed through the falling rocks and returned safely. The skill he used was the 8-fold leap, a terrifying technique that allows for 8 consecutive jumps, with each leap exponentially increasing his speed. Back in the arena, Sakuya dodges another of Shurya's attacks. He knows he has already used 3 of his 8 jumps just to evade the vengeful spirits. He uses his 4th jump, rocketing toward his opponent and landing a strike. Shurya is startled by Sakuya's ever-increasing speed. Sakuya unleashes his 5th, 6th, and 7th jumps in quick succession, cutting through spirit after spirit. He knows he must use his speed advantage to cut down Shurya before new spirits can be generated. He performs the 8th and final jump, closing the distance completely. He thinks that as long as he keeps up the pressure in close combat, he can win. He activates a new skill, Heroic Legacy. Daoju is impressed. She understands now how he has held the position of guild master for so long without being an Azura. His power alone is enough to rival the other guilds. Towers are a manifestation of human history and mythology. Gods represent the myths, and naturally heroes represent history. Inheriting a hero's legacy is like a fateful encounter. Shurya mocks Sakuya and asks if he really thinks he can win in close combat, that a mere mortal's weapon can never beat a reaper's scythe. Sakuya thinks the scythe is a terrifying weapon, but he knows that a human cannot handle such a divine artifact easily. If Shurya is forced to wield it like a normal weapon, it will create a massive opening. As Shurya swings his scythe, Sakuya exploits the opening and thrusts his sword forward. He taunts that it seems no god taught him how to use that weapon. He lands a direct hit, smugly thinking that he only planned to use his final leap to dodge. From the sidelines, Gyro celebrates, thinking it is over, but Sora's mother warns that it is not yet. Shurya just laughs. He says that the victorious expression of his opponent is really cracking him up. Sakuya is shocked that his attack did not land and wonders if Revenant Shade has no cooldown. Shurya reveals he can switch places with more than just a spirit body. He touches Sakuya's chest, leaving the mark of Hades. Sakuya realizes his mistake. His opponent transformed his own physical body into a spirit form, nullifying the attack. Shurya, now surrounded by a new horde of spirits, explains that if Sakuya gets marked 4 times, he will become his sole slave, and he will not be getting another chance. A mark appears on Sakuya where Shurya touched him, a Hades brand. When the brand reaches level 4, the bearer becomes a wraith of Hades. Sakuya realizes his dilemma. Getting close means getting marked, but staying back means being surrounded by specters. To make matters worse, his 8-ship leap is still on cooldown. Shurya acknowledges Sakuya's talent but dismisses him as just another nobody and attacks. He knows that in his spirit form he constantly drains mana and takes more damage from magic, but just like a demon soul, he is immune to physical attacks. Sakuya barely dodges a strike. Shurya compliments Sakuya's speed but still manages to land another touch. A second brand appears, Hades Mark II. Shurya laughs, taunting that running is futile. Once Sakuya is marked 4 times, his body will burn in hellfire and his soul will become Shurya's puppet. He lands a third strike, a third mark burns onto Sakuya's skin. Sakuya retaliates, but his attacks are still useless. Shurya deduces that Sakuya is trying to run out his mana to force him out of spirit form, but it will not work. He can maintain this form for 3 more minutes. And for Sakuya, he smirks, the next one will be the 4th mark. Sakuya prepares for a big attack. Shurya sees him charging his sword aura and thinks it is foolish to leave such an opening. He uses his Revenant Shade technique and appears behind him, ready to deal the final blow. As Sakuya calmly unsheathes his blade, Shurya is shocked as his attack is blocked. He had fallen for Sakuya's trap. The sword aura was physical and had no effect, just as Shurya had thought, but Sakuya had another plan. He pulls out the item his wife gave him, recalling her words that as a Reaper Azura, Shurya's power is tied to spirits. This item, a piece of paper soaked in sacred water, sun-dried and infused with a cleric's divine power, was made specifically to exorcise spirits. Daoju remarks that just as Shurya had countermeasures for a samurai, they had their own as well. Sakuya slashes through the shadow clones, but Shurya laughs and says it is too late because he has already been marked for the 4th time. The fires of hell envelop Sakuya. But as the flames rage, Sakuya stands his ground. He asks if Shurya really thought he would just stand there and become a wraith. He states that burning his flesh actually made him lighter, and he begins to cut down the shadows. Shurya is stunned. He cannot believe Sakuya still has the strength to fight and questions how he is still able to counter his spirit form. He realizes in a flash of panic that Sakuya's 8-fold leap is off cooldown. But it is too late. Sakuya closes the distance instantly, appearing behind him, striking again and again, but Shurya manages to swap places with his spirits, though Sakuya is still faster. Sakuya declares that before Shurya can turn him into a wraith, he will kill him. He says that if one hit will not do it, then he will keep hitting him until he is dead. He lands a final, decisive blow. Shurya coughs up blood and admits defeat. Sakuya says that victory is his, standing triumphant. Outside the arena, the Azura Mukai dispatches another of Sora's father's men and impatiently watches the fight, muttering for them to just come already or this will end on a boring note. We see Sora speeding across rooftops, heading for the Colosseum. Back inside, Gyro celebrates, thinking they have won, but Shuzenji senses that something is wrong. A dark energy far stronger than Hades is growing stronger. Suddenly, black lightning bursts from Shurya's defeated body. He pleads for one more chance. From a tear in spacetime, 2 skeletal hands emerge and pull open a portal. A massive skeletal being with a dark aura steps through. The being calls his brother pitiful. Sakuya cannot believe what he is seeing. The being grabs Shurya's head, which is still pleading for a second chance, and tells him that cheap tricks will not win battles. The skeletal figure declares that power is everything as it crushes his brother's skull, adding that their lives all end here. Sakuya wonders if this is Hades Azura's true form, while his companions stare in horror. Mukai, still watching from afar, smirks, thinking that things just got interesting. Hades reveals that the first person he killed after becoming an Azura was his own brother, and that he has lost count of how many he has killed since. He says that once they die, they will become his puppets, and Shurya's spirit rises to join a spectral army. Hades declares that their fate will be the same. He strikes Sakuya, and the mark of Hades appears once again on his chest. Sakuya is shocked. The mark should have disappeared with Shurya's defeat, and his 8-fold step is still on cooldown. As the spirits attack, a wave of nostalgia washes over him. He thinks it is just like back then. In a flashback, we see a younger Sakuya facing off against the giant spider monster, helpless and outmatched. He knew he could not fall until everyone had escaped. He desperately tries to get the monster's attention, knowing normal attacks are useless. He notices a sword stuck in the monster's head, left there by a previous attacker. That is its weak point. He successfully draws its attention but is quickly swatted aside. As the monster looms over him, he accepts his fate, glad that he could save at least a few people. He thinks that if only he had been stronger. Just as the spider is about to strike, a voice tells him not to give up. A figure appears and saves him. It was a narrow escape from death. He had met the legendary Karasudengu, a figure said to have taught martial arts to ancient warlords. That is when Sakuya realized it was not just monsters that came to this world. Legendary heroes had descended too. Sakuya is recovering after his battle with the spider monster, with the mysterious hero standing over him. Sakuya thanks him for the save and asks his name. The hero introduces himself as Karasudengu. Karasudengu explains that by the will of a fallen warrior, he has been searching for someone worthy to inherit the famed blade Kumajiri, also known as the spider cutter. He recounts how the spider monster he had once slain returned to life and ambushed him, leading to both of their mutual demise in their last battle. But when he saw Sakuya risking his life to protect strangers, he realized Sakuya was the key to breaking this deadlock. He offers Sakuya the chance to kill the spider and reclaim his friend's sword. Sakuya eagerly accepts. Karasuringu then began to train him personally. Thanks to this training, Sakuya mastered the heroic legacy, but he could not inherit the warrior's entire power, learning only 3 of the 6 techniques. Still, this was enough. Using the eightfold leap, Sakuya, with the help of Karasuringu, defeated the spider monster for good. Karasuringu then entrusted Sakuya with the blades, and Sakuya made a promise to find someone more worthy of the sword one day. Back in the present, Sakuya cuts through the spirits and resolves to borrow the blade's power once more. He thinks that if he dies here, he will never be able to keep his promise. He summons the legendary sword. A powerful white aura surrounds him, repelling the dark spirits. From the sidelines, Jiro wonders if that sword can truly defeat Hades. Daoju scoffs and says that a hero is still just a human, and that a mortal weapon cannot beat a god. For a moment, Hades seems to feel fear. He orders all his soldiers to stop Sakuya, but as they swarm him, the holy aura of the blade begins to suppress evil. A mage spirit casts a spell, but Sakuya parries it. He does not know how effective this power will be against a god of the underworld, but he knows that if he pours all of his mana into it, he can do this. An archer spirit manages to land a hit on his leg, but Sakuya is undeterred. Sakuya roars for the spider cutter to awaken. He unleashes a massive sword strike that disintegrates the surrounding spirits. Hades admits Sakuya is strong but is still no match for him and easily blocks the attack. Hades questions if a mere human hero's weapon can break through his defenses and vows to turn such foolish hope to ashes. But as Sakuya's blade clashes with his shield, a high-pitched sonic wave erupts, causing Hades, Hiro, and Daoju to clutch their ears in pain. The shield shatters. Sakuya explains that while the blade of the spider cutter can be blocked, the sonic waves it emits cannot. He closes in on Hades and states that the sword, true to its name, emits a roar-like wave that suppresses enemy movements. He knows this is his chance. But Hades sneers and calls Sakuya a foolish human for thinking sound waves could paralyze him. A status window reveals that due to a divine blessing, the Howlblade's effect has been reduced to just 10 seconds. Hades thinks that the moment someone is convinced they have won is when they are at their weakest. Sakuya knows this is his last chance. He has to be faster, but Hades is already regaining consciousness. Sakuya's companions are horrified, knowing he will not make it in time. Hades takes control, paralyzing Sakuya in midair and crushing him in his grip. The Hades brands activate one after another until they reach level 4. Hades declares that Sakuya should become his ghost. But suddenly, from the sidelines, Sakuya's wife, Jiro, and Shuzenji unleash their power to help their friend. Just as they do, Athena appears before them and declares that no one is allowed to interfere in a sacred battle. Then she senses a new threat. A massive lightning bolt strikes down, shattering her barrier. Everyone is shocked. This is Zeus's lightning spear, a move only their boss Mukai should be able to control. High above, Sora hovers, having finally arrived. With the barrier down, Sakuya's allies rush to protect him. His mother cries out that they are counting on him. Sora unleashes a blast of lightning directly at Hades, shattering a part of his skull. As Hades reels in pain, he tightens his grip on Sakuya and boasts that Sora's father is now his puppet. But using a platform created by Jiro's earth magic, Sora launches himself forward, severing the arm holding his father. He catches his father and declares that as long as he is here, he will not let anyone die.
And you want more? Write the name in the description abyss. And check out part 2.